In this module, we're going to talk about what I feel is the second most important part of your entire listing, and that's your images, and perhaps video if you're able to put video on your listing if you have brand registry. Images are super critical, and some people might say your price is more important than your images. It's always title first. Some people would say price is second and images are third. I think it's actually the other way around, because I think you can justify a price with actually good images. And so you can often sell your product just based on the images alone. A lot of people aren't going to read your bullet points. They're not going to read your description. They're going to take a look at your title, look at the price and go, oh, wow, that's a great price. Let me look at the pictures. Or go, wow, that's a kind of a high price, but let me take a look at the pictures. And if the pictures can justify the price, you can make a sale. And you're going to see in the next module, there's a module 53.1, where I'm going to show you on screen some of my actual products that I've actually sold. I'm going to show you what I do with my images and how I make them stand out. And it's going to give you a better idea of exactly how this process works and the thought process behind it and how important images are. Now, my good friend Mark Don, he always says that you're always going to be judged by your worst image. So you can't put up garbage. You can't just fill the spaces and put them up. It's just like if you go to a dating site and you're looking at a potential mate or someone you're going to date, and the first 4 or 5 pictures are really hot and they really look great and really appeal to you, and then all of a sudden you see a picture with them without makeup, or maybe without their hair combed if it's a guy or whatever, and you're like, oh my God, that doesn't look too good. It kind of scares you, and you're like, that might be what I get. It's the same thing when you're selling products. You're going to be judged by your worst image. So you want to be very careful and make sure that all your images are top-notch. They're as strong as they can possibly be. It's so important. And this is an area that a lot of people skimp on. A lot of people aren't willing to spend money on images. They go down the streets and their buddy, their neighbor has a really good camera, a $3,000 Sony or Nikon camera, and he's got some good lights, and they, hey man, can you take some pictures for me? And the guy takes pictures. And the pictures, they might be crisp and clear, perhaps, but they usually suck. Or they will take the pictures themselves on their phone, their iPhone. They're like, that's good enough, man. And maybe it does get you, it's good enough in the beginning and get you going, but I think it's a major mistake that a lot of people make. I think you need to put money in your budget to create good images. And if you can't afford it from the get-go, there are other ways to do it. You can do cartoons and other things, but images are so critical. And can make such a huge difference, as I'm about to show you, that, and as you'll see in 53.1 when I give you some specific examples, that it's something you got to pay attention to. I spend, on some of my images, I spend several $1,000s. I'm not saying you need to do that, but what I will often do is I will group stuff together. I'm fortunate that I launch a bunch of different products, so instead of like shooting one at a time, I will group things together, so that really helps spread the cost. I can't underemphasize how important it is to have quality images. Now, there are companies that will help you create, if you're not good at this or don't have someone on your team that's good at this, there are specialists for Amazon sellers and e-commerce sellers that will do this for you. They'll create the images on the white background. They'll create what's called lifestyle pictures. Lifestyle pictures include like models, or they include the product like in a kitchen or in context. And then if you're eligible to put video on your listing, there's companies that specialize in creating really good videos. And you don't want to skimp on this. So if you take a look down in the links for this section, you'll actually see who we recommend for that. And you can reach out to them and see what they might be able to do for you. The main thing you need to keep in mind is on Amazon, you get 9 image spots. Now, 7 of those images show up before someone clicks. They show up on mobile and they show up before someone clicks. The other 2, people have to actually click to enlarge them and actually go to see them. So the first 7 are critical. If you're eligible to have video on your listing, you can. If you have EBC and your brand registered, you can put a video in the 7th spot, which can really, if done right, can really make a big difference on your listing. In order for your images to be zoomable, or for people to actually blow them up and see the details, Amazon tells you they have to be at least 1,000 pixels on the longest side. Now, I like to do them a little bit bigger than that. I would recommend a minimum of 2,000. I personally do 3,000 or 3,500. So when you're ordering your pictures from the photographer, make sure they're giving them to you at that resolution. That's just going to make them a lot crisper and a lot more detailed when people blow them up, and give you a lot more options for things that you can do with them if you want to use them on packaging, or you want to use them on your website or somewhere besides Amazon. Now, your main image has to follow Amazon's rules. it has to be what's called on a white background. You're not supposed to have anything else in the picture. No, it can't be sitting on a counter. It can't be in somebody's hand. The only exception to that is apparel. So apparel, you can actually show it on somebody, but other than that, you're not supposed to have even a person in the picture. So in the white background, you want to actually make sure that it fills the frame. You know, sometimes you'll see a little tiny picture. You want to actually make sure it's composed in such a way so it's almost touching the edges. You want to leave like a 5 pixel all the way around it, because sometimes if you fill it in, Amazon's algorithm might think it's actually not on a white background. So leave like a 5 pixel all the way around it. And the other thing is you can't put any badges. You can't put like bestseller or Cyber Monday special or Christmas Christmas deal with a Christmas tree. You'll see people do that from time to time, but that's against the rules. When Amazon catches you, they're gonna shut your listing down. You also can't put a URL in the images. You can't have any kind of URL or anything in there. If you're able to show your packaging box, Amazon, that's kind of a gray area. Amazon, but if your packaging box is unique, you can actually show that in there. I do that a lot with some of my products. I'll show the product in the foreground and then the box kind of 3D behind it. And as long as the URL is not showing on your box, or there's no identifying information of how to contact you or go outside of Amazon, you should be okay, and that can really help you stand out. Another thing is when you're creating your images, you want to kind of give a perspective of the dimensions of the product. You want to kind of let people know how big is this. You know, maybe you have somebody, not on your main image, but on images 2 through 9, you have a lot more freedom. And so remember, sometimes your main image and your second image actually might be shown. In some categories, there's a little button, a little toggle. So image number 2 is pretty critical too. But you don't have to have just the white background image number 2 through 9. You have a little bit more freedom. So in those images, you can put call-outs, you can put information, you can do cartoons, you can do charts, you can do a lot of different things. Some people, if they have a warranty or something special, they'll put that in one of the images. Or maybe you're not, you don't have a video yet, you're not brand registered, but you were able to actually get a video short on Amazon. Remember we talked about that in one of the earlier modules, and maybe it's down below on your listing. You could actually say, hey, check out the video short down below. I've done that before on some of my images. So you can use the images, but you also want to show dimensions and give us perspective, because people can't touch the product. They don't know how big it is, even though you put sizes. So maybe you have somebody holding it in their hand, or you have it next to a quarter, or next to a ruler, or next to something that people kind of have an idea of how big this is, and that puts it in perspective. That's another good thing to do. You could use cartoons in your images if you want to. You can't use it in the main image, but you can use cartoons. I'll show you in 53.1 how I effectively use that to show a before and an after. Now, you also want to include lifestyle pictures, and lifestyle pictures could be people using the product. You want to make sure it's happy people. Or if it's a dog product, maybe a dog is enjoying it and the dog is happy, or both a dog and a human in the product, in the picture. You want to show faces whenever you can in your videos and in your photos, because it can raise your conversion rate by like 38%. Sometimes you only see somebody's hands, but if you see a person's face, especially if it's a good-looking person, it doesn't have to be a good-looking person, but that helps. And that person is similar to your audience. So if you're selling creams for senior citizens, and your makeup, your cream is for women 55 and older, you don't want to have a 30-year-old model showing off this cream. You need to make sure the people that are in your lifestyle pictures are your avatar. They're your target audience, and make sure that that's super important. And then you can actually take the product and put it in the environment it's going to be used in. If this is going to be sitting on someone's nightstand next to their bed, show the picture of it on the nightstand next to the bed. That kind of gives them a context of how it's going to be used. If you're able to in your picture, and you can create a storyboard, and that can be really effective. That's another option, where pictures 2 through 9 almost tell a story. Like if it's a car polish or something, you could have a dirty car in picture number 1, and in picture number with your bottle of your car polish on top of it. In picture number 2, the guy's cleaning it and he's happy. It's so easy to clean. And then the next picture down is the car is like sparkling. And the next picture down, it shows, he was able to win a race or sell his car, or there's a couple good-looking girls, that he was able to have a date with, or whatever. You can tell a story that puts your potential customer in the context of it. Now, when you're creating pictures, one of the reasons that your neighbor down the street that has a nice camera setup may produce bad pictures is angle and composition is super important in pictures. I've actually been places with like my brother, and we're standing in Australia or New Zealand, actually, I think it was, and we're looking at this really beautiful scene of this lake and these mountains. He's standing right next to me. He's got a better camera than me, better quality camera, higher resolution, higher megapixel and everything. He takes a picture of the same thing as me. We're standing, we're 2 feet apart or something. His picture is just okay. Mine is like poster worthy. It could win awards. It's because I knew how to do the composition, how to frame the picture, how to get the right angle. And that's something a lot of people don't understand. And they don't know how to light things properly. They don't know how to do the shadows. I see a lot of products on Amazon that are clearly to me faked. Someone has just photoshopped these in because the shadows aren't even right. And a customer may look at that and go, he may not know that, hey, those shadows don't look right. But they're going to look at it and go, that looks funny. That just doesn't look right. Something about this looks weird. So it's super important to make sure you have the right quality on everything. What I like to do is before I send off my pictures or my product to my photographer or my video people, is I do what's called an FPO, or for position only. So I will take my iPhone and I will lay out the product on the table and I will say, okay, and I'll take a picture of it. And the picture sucks. It's not lit well, but I say, I want you to take a picture of it this way. And then I'll turn it around and take a picture of it another way. Sometimes, like with my dog treats, in order to get attention, I will actually spell something out. I'll take the dog treats, or the bag of dog treats. I will spill them on the table. So you actually see the bag, and then the dog treats are like spilled out on the table. And so I'll take a picture so that they understand that. I don't just send my product to the photographer and say, here you go, please take some pictures and send them back to me. Because then you're just going back and forth and nobody gets what they want. They don't understand what you want. So I take FPOs. And where do I get the ideas from this? I might look through magazines or advertisements from some of the top companies. I'll look at my competition to see what they're doing. And I'll kind of model some of my stuff off of what they're doing, the successful people. Some of it I just come up in the top of my head. Another thing I'll do with the dog treats is I'll spell something out to get attention because everybody's got a bag of dog treats. And so how's mine going to stand out? Well, what I'll do is I'll take the dog treats. You can, in the main image, you're allowed to use the product. So as long as it's part of the product, it's okay. I'll spell out the word dog, D-O-G, using the dog treats. So maybe I got 4 dog treats spelling part of the D, and then I got like 8 more dog treats making the loop on the D, and I'll put that and spell that as dog and then put the bag in there. And so when it's on the page on Amazon, I'm like, holy, it stands out. Another thing I'll do with these FPOs is I will Photoshop them in. I will go and do a keyword search for my main keywords, the main keyword on Amazon, see what the results are, take a screenshot of that, bring that into Photoshop, take my little FPO and just drop it in there. It's going to look kind of cruddy, and I'll take a look and I'll see how does this look? Does mine stand out? Does it catch the eye? Do the colors stand out? Does the word DOG actually get attention? So sometimes what I'll even do is I'll use a service like Pickfu, Pickfu.com. There's a link down the bottom, and there may even be a discount code there that'll get you a discount. But what these guys do is they have a massive amount of people out all over the world, mostly in the US, but all over the world, that will you can actually post pictures. So maybe I'm trying to decide between 2 different main pictures. And I show you this in 53.1, so you see an example of this. But I think maybe one picture is the best one. But I've got another one that's pretty good too. Rather than doing testing on Amazon and waiting weeks to get results back, I can get results during business hours in like 15, 30 minutes sometimes. So it costs a little bit of money, but it's well worth it for me. So I'll post these 2 pictures up onto Pickfu, and I'll say, which one would you click on? And not only will I get answers back, but I'll get demographic information. I'll get the reason that they chose one. I can tell the Pickfu that I only want people that are Amazon Prime buyers to give me an answer, so it's not just random people. But you can do the same thing if you take your little individual picture from your FPO and you Photoshop it, or have someone, if you're not able to do that, have someone off Upwork or have someone Photoshop your picture into the Amazon search results page. It's like a screenshot of like 12 results, and your picture is in spot number 6, let's say. And then go into Pickfu and ask people, which one of these would you click on? And a lot of times you can see maybe they're clicking on yours the most, or maybe it's some other one, but they'll tell you why. And then you can go, oh, they're clicking on that one because they like the red color. So maybe I need to go back into my packaging or into my listing and do something in red. You can get some really valuable information that can make thousands or tens of thousands of dollars of difference. So don't just use yourself. Don't do a poll of like your family and your husband or your wife and your kids and the next door neighbor, which picture do you like better? That's not the best way to do it. Oftentimes you're going to be misled. And when I do this, when I speak, I'll show examples of different ones that are actually case studies from PickFu, and I'll ask the audience, and these are experienced sellers. Some of these guys are doing millions of dollars a year. Which one would you choose? And almost all the time, about 2/3 of the room chooses the wrong thing. And these are people making a lot of money. And all they did was use something like this and get the feedback, because we're too close to our products. And so this can really, really help you. It can make thousands of dollars of difference. And the other thing I do in my images is I try to evoke emotion. So you want to evoke emotional response when someone looks at it. Think about it when you show pictures of your family to your grandmother or something, and she kind of smiles. You want to kind of do that in your images too. Any way you can evoke emotion can really help you get that conversion. And so, good photography is so, so important. Especially if you're going to try to command a higher price on your product. It can make all the difference. People eat with their eyes first. And so I truly believe that photos are super, super important. A good picture can raise your conversion rate as much as 13%. Just a single good picture. Imagine if you have 9 really good pictures. It can raise your conversion rates dramatically. So please, please, please do everything you can to not skimp on your photos. It's so, so important. And when you're creating these photos, always create an environment where people can see themselves using the product. That put themselves, they can't touch the product. Like I said earlier, they can't touch it. They can't be there. Try to help them imagine themselves being in this scene. And always remember, if you're using models or using props or you're using you're showing something in a kitchen, I see so many times the picture is like mostly of the kitchen and the product is sitting there on the counter. And you got to kind of squint to see it. Remember, the product is the focus. Always, always. The model or the scene or the props or the backdrop. They should never be the main focus. The product is always the focus. That's crucial to keep in mind. And remember too that faces, whether they're ugly or just human, it doesn't matter. They can increase conversion rate dramatically. So try to get human faces and happy human faces in your photos and in your videos. Even if you're having an influencer create videos for you, or someone on YouTube do videos, and all they do is an unboxing, and all you see is their hands, if you get their face in there and show them having an emotional response, watch your conversion rates and your interest go way up. So I hope this has helped you on creating images. And remember, down in the links below are some resources that you can reach out to and see if they might be able to help you create these if you're not able to create these on your own. So I hope that all of this has really helped you create a killer listing. We've talked about the title, the bullet points, the description, the back end, and make sure you go and you check out the next module, 53.1, because I'm going to show you some specific examples from some of my products and some things I do. Not that you have to copy those ideas, but just to give you some some food for thought. So good luck on everything, and I look forward to seeing you in the next module.